An EPA memo filed as part of a federal lawsuit by Gert Town neighbors suggests the presence of the hazardous material known as radium-226 under the road surface near Lowerline and Coolidge Court was no secret to local, state, and federal environmental agencies. The document, dated May 17, 2019, also stated that the radiation posed a health threat to the surrounding community and that a person's annual radiation exposure limit could be exceeded at street level in less than 1 hour per day.
Pop your hood, pop your hood.
Leo Soniet has lived just feet from the radiation hotspot since 1995.
We sit out here all the time. We're in my yard all the time. And they're saying 1 hour. I'm out in my yard more than an hour a day.
The memo revealed the hotspot was first detected during a sweep of the area by the U.S. Department of Energy prior to the 2013 Super Bowl in New Orleans. Last December, the city and LDEQ hired a contractor to excavate the site. The contractor discovered contaminated soil and road base under Lowerline. Neighbors claimed they were never told about the radiation. Instead, they received a flyer in late May notifying them about road construction on Lowerline.
It didn't say anything about hazardous material at all. Didn't say nothing about radiation, anything like that. Just road construction.
Meaning the street is still open and there's no
Soniet's attorney Steve Rando maintains the city had an obligation to notify residents about the radiation.
As soon as they became aware that this was hazardous and it needed to be removed, they should have closed the street and warned the public.
Gert Town neighbors tell us that the least the city can do at this point is to test everyone within a 5-block radius of this site for their level of radiation exposure.
What are possibilities of getting sick later on? Show some respect and concern for the people.
Now, the source of this radiation remains a mystery, but the city contractor did find radioactive soil beneath 2 levels of pavement and a seashell road base. We're live in Gert Town. Paul Murphy, Eyewitness News.
Paul, thanks for that update.